Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a Pilates instructor here at Intermountain's TOSH Pilates program. Today we are going to be doing a workout with a circular band. I've got two bands with me. The yellow's a little bit lighter. I'll probably use this most of the time, but the red is a little heavier maybe if I decide I want heavier, I'll bust this out at some point. But you can always, if you do have different kind of tensions at home, you can always swap out which one you're using, depending on the exercise and how your body feels with it. Feel free to watch some of our previous videos to get kind of some of the Pilates basics, but other than that, we're just gonna get right into it. So I'm gonna set that heavier one to the side and use this one here, and go ahead and lie on your back. Alright, so this band is just going to go around my hands, and I kind of have my thumbs poking out of it. Knees are bent, feet are flat, and my pelvis is neutral, so I don't want to feel my back smushing down really. And I'm going to start with my elbows just bent by my sides. Take a nice big inhale now. As you exhale, we're going to notch into chest, curl in, shoulders up, and reach your fingertips for your knees. And then we lower back down. So pretty simple to start. We're going to layer on here. Make sure as you curl up, you don't start to crunch your lower body or tuck your lower body, right? I want to stay neutral the whole time. So it's purely about just curling the head and shoulders up. So layering on here, I'm going to exhale, curl up. Now push into that band out with the arms. Release and pull it in. Exhale. Push into the band, release. And in. So feeling those shoulders fire up. Do one more like that. All right, now we're just going to add a little more to this. Exhale, curling up. We push and lift the arms at the same time. Bend the elbows to your sides, kind of relax that tension on the band. Inhale. Exhale, we reach. Inhale, push and lift arms up. Don't let anything change in your torso. And then lower down. Let's do two more like that. Last one. And relax. Okay, hopefully you're feeling those shoulders warm a little bit. What's nice about that one too is you can kind of choose which level you want to work at. You can go to the full thing or just kind of stay at the first step of it. Keep the band with you and you're going to roll onto your stomach. Still going to stay between our hands, but let's actually keep it at the top of the mat for a second. And just warm up the back a little, hands under your forehead. Toes are going to stay down. We'll inhale, lift the arms, the head, and the chest for just a little lift there, right? We're going to lengthen and lift just to start to wake up all those upper and mid back muscles that we'll be using a little more intensely in a moment. Reach and lift. Control it down. We'll do 3 more like that. Good. Last one. All right, now we'll use the band. Scooch down a little so my arms have space and you can see. Okay, so the arms are long in front of you. Again, my hands are through the band, and I don't even have my thumbs poking out this time. My hands are totally down. Arms long in front. We're still just staying with a small lift to the upper body, so don't try to get too big with it. We'll inhale to lift the left arm up first, giving a little tension to that band, and then lower down. And then lift the right arm. So challenging the shoulder a little bit, but also challenging our stability here. We don't want to go leaning to one side as we gain tension on that band. Really, the hand that's down on the mat is just heavy enough to be able to keep the band down. And that's all. We're going to add the opposite leg with it now. So I'm going to lift my right arm, left leg. Lower down, left arm, right leg. Still fighting for that length through my spine. The back of the neck is nice and long, so you don't want to look up at your band. My gaze pretty much stays straight down. Let's do one more each side. Good. Good, relax. You can rock your hips side to side, maybe roll out the shoulders a little bit. We'll do one more thing here. We're still focusing on the toes staying down, but we are gonna try to lift a little higher through the chest. So arms long, we'll inhale, reach and lift. Now as we hold at the top here, pull against the band and lower down. So inhale up, pull, lower down. So again, we wanna feel those shoulders working, and you find you press out against that band as much as it feels okay on your body. And though I say lift your chest as much as you can, you notice mine doesn't lift very high because I still have to keep my toes down. 2 more. Last one. Good. Go ahead and slide the band off. We'll press back into a shell stretch. So very similar to your child's pose, just kind of rounding over the legs a little more. Good. And then roll your shoulders out. Okay, feeling some good shoulder work there. So I actually am, for this next exercise, gonna switch it out for the red band, just a little heavier tension. But you choose. We're gonna do some bridging with this. So sliding the band, or I should say sliding your legs through the center of the band to bring it all the way up around the thighs. Not too high, just a little bit above the knees there. And then lay on down. Okay, feet are about sits bones width apart, so not very wide at all. Scooch down a little. Okay. And make sure that band isn't knocking your knees in towards one another, right? So we've got to give some pressure in, kind of wake up those outer thighs to keep my knees in line with my hips and with my ankles. And from here, we'll take a big inhale. As you exhale, let's pull into an imprint, engaging through the abdominals, then squeeze the glutes, and roll yourself up into your bridge. Inhaling at the top, and exhaling, roll down one vertebra at a time. All the while, just keeping this tension on the band here. At the top, I like to think of finding as much length through the front of my body, so my knees are reaching towards the wall in front of me, my tailbone's trying to tilt towards the ceiling. Finding the length in front is going to help with the connection in the back. And I know that glutes are all about, or the bridges are all about glutes, but we want to think of that tiny bit of core to help support the back. This next one, we're going to hold it up. Holding here. See if you can find a little more of that length. Kneecaps reaching forward, hip bones tilting towards rib bones. And we're just doing little pushes into the band. Push. It's not very big because I don't want us to pull at our ankles too much. But tiny presses out to start to feel the outsides of the hips a little bit more without letting your hips drop. Let's do 4, 3, 2, and 1. Roll it down. If you feel like you need a little break, you can give your knees a little rock side to side. And we're going to do one more variation of bridge here. So, again, making sure you've got that pressure on the band to keep your knees in line. We'll roll up into our bridge, hold at the top. Now push into your left foot, like a lot, to lift your right leg to tabletop. Your thigh will push into that band to challenge it, and then set it down. Push into your right foot, so transfer the weight, then lift up the left leg, pushing into the band. So we're doing this marching here. We want to make sure to have that weight transfer first. That's going to set us up for success, because when we lift one leg, we don't want that hip to sink down. So we don't want to feel like we're kind of dropping in one hip, right? And we don't want slowly to be dropping the hips. We want to keep them where they are the whole time. We're going to do one more to each side. Good. See if you can lift a little higher at the top here, and then roll down one vertebra at a time. Give those legs a little rock side to side. Very nice. Band is going to stay around our legs, but we're going to slide it down to the ankles now. Okay. And we'll get into the core a little bit more. So let's pull into an imprint. Draw the abs in, hip bones tilt towards the rib bones. We feel the low back lengthen close to the mat. And carefully, especially we have to lift them at the same time, carefully lift your legs to tabletop. Same idea here. I'm keeping some tension on that band so it's not just hanging out. And on an exhale, you're gonna reach your legs long and inhale, bend them in. Now you choose how long and low they go. You want to choose the range that you can keep your imprint. So if you start going really low and you feel your back arching up, then we want to adjust a little bit so the core stays really connected and the back doesn't start to take over. We're going to layer on here. I should mention that through this whole series, you have the option to do it with your head and shoulders up as well. I'm going to keep mine down today, but if you really want to challenge the core, go for it. So we're going to add on to this. You're going to lengthen those legs out long, hold, push into the band 3 times. Push, push, push. Bend it in. Exhale. Push, push, push. Bend it in. Whole leg is pushing out. Keep that bottom rib down on the mat. 3 more. Last 2. And last one. Bend it in. Give a little rock side to side. We've got one more thing here, very similar. We have to think about our legs tracing a circle on this one. You'll know what I mean as we get moving, but I want you to have that visual as we get into it. So legs back to tabletop. Our core is still nice and active. You're going to reach your legs out and hold. Now keep tension in the band as your right foot goes high, left foot goes low. Find center and then switch. So I'll go on an angle so you can see this a little bit better as well. So we exhale, we'll do right leg, then left leg high, find center, and bend. Let's do left leg high first. Left, then right, then center, and in. We'll do that 2 more times. Right leg high first. Keep tension on the band. Keep your imprint. Even if your legs are straight up, that's great. Yeah? Alignment over anything. And relax. Hug the knees in. Rock side to side. Really good. All right. I'm going to swap out my band again. Roll myself up. So I'm going back to the lighter one. Again, this is not what you have to do. But I just know for my body, I want to go a little lighter on these. We're going to take it back around the ankles and lie on our stomachs, getting into the glutes a little bit more. All right. So lying on your stomach, I would just like to prop my hands under my forehead. And same idea, keeping tension in the band, so we're not just letting it loose there. Now what I like to do before I really get into the movement is squeeze my glutes to feel the front of my hips push into the mat a little bit more, and then draw my abdominals away from the mat. They won't completely come away, but we just want to be active and supportive. And we're going to just lift the left leg straight up, straight down. We want that leg to be super straight. If we start bending the knee at all, it's going to feel more hamstring, and we really want to get it into the glute. Now, the glute and the low back, they're constantly fighting for attention, right? Sometimes the back takes over when the glute should be doing the work. So right here, if you are feeling your back more, try making your range a little smaller, thinking about your abdominals a little bit more. And then if that doesn't work, you're still feeling that tension in your back, then take the band away. You can still do this movement. Lifting and lowering. And you find, like I said, you find the range that works in your body. How can you get into the glute? Sometimes it's even nice to just touch your glute, right? And say that is where it's engaging. Sometimes our brains really kind of connect to that tactile cueing. Let's switch to the left leg. Exhale as it lifts. Inhale as it lowers. And I really like that exhale to lift because then it does help initiate a little bit of those stabilizers in our abdominals, right? And you might notice one side feels a little different than the other. Maybe it's more challenging to feel the glute, or it's easier, or it gets tired faster. And so adjust as you need per side. Try to keep tension away from the neck, chest, and shoulders here. They're not going to help you. Okay, we're going to go back to the left leg. So I'm lifting the leg up. I'm then going to push out in against the band, bring it back in and down. And I'm still going to stay on the left. So lift it up, push out, pull in and down. Making sure you're not feeling too much weight transfer here. We want to keep the rest of our body pretty stable as that leg goes wide. So getting into the glute max as you lift the leg, and then glute med and min as we open it out to the side. We'll do one more there. And then switch to the other leg. Lifting straight up, pushing out, in and down. Lift, push, in and down. Two more like that. All right, we're going back to the left leg. Now our goal is the hamstrings, but we're still being very aware of what our low back is doing as we do this one. So getting into the hamstrings, I do want you to squeeze the glutes a little bit. Again, we want to feel that pressure with the front of our hips down into the mat. I want you to flex your left foot as you pull the heel towards your glute and then back down. Yep, pulling heel towards glute. My leggings are a little slippery, so they're starting to ride up my leg a little bit. But basically, we want this pulling. We want to bring tension on the band as we pull the heel up. What we don't want to have happen is when you do lift the heel, you feel the front of your hip right here lift off, and then you're leaning over to the opposite side, right? We want to keep everything as we started, the same as we started. That's a good sign if our hips start to lift up. It's a good sign our back is taking over more than the hamstring. Good. Okay, we're going to switch to the other side. Flexing to pull in, keep those glutes a little active, even though the focus is on the hamstring. Front of the hips stay pressing down. Abdominals stay a little active. That's going to help that tilting side to side. Let's do 3. And 2. And 1. Very nice. Okay, rock those hips side to side a little bit. And then I'm going to roll onto my right side body to face you. Band stays where it is. Legs are long in line with your body. Hips are stacked on top of one another. Feet are stacked on top of one another. And then we're going to find that tension in the band again. It's nice and tight. And then we're going to make it even tighter by lifting up and lowering down. Push into the band and lower. You can think of a little medial rotation here if you'd like. So knee and toe, whoop, rotating down a little and leading with the heel to really get into those stabilizers in your hip. And we only press into that band as much as we can while keeping the stability through the rest of the body. I'm using my arm to support my head here, but you absolutely can use a ball or a block, a pillow, folded blanket, whatever you've got if it's uncomfortable to use the arm. Okay, we're going to push up and keep that tension on the band. Now slide the leg forward without rocking, and then slide it back without rocking. So you've got to keep your core a little active here. And you're keeping tension on the band the whole time. The leg is just kind of tick-tocking forward and back. Keeping that tension. Very nice. Let's do one more forward, one more back. I know you're feeling the burn. And relax. Rub out the hip a little bit. Good. We'll flip over to the other side. All right. Hips stacked, feet stacked, legs are in line, abs are drawing in. top leg is gonna lift and lower. As you lower the leg, think of your foot trying to reach longer than your bottom foot. It's actually gonna help us keep the hips aligned here so that this top hip doesn't start to fall in. Energy through the quad as well. Even though that's not really the focus, it's gonna help kind of protect any pulling. Maybe you'll feel at your knee, which you wouldn't normally feel without the band here, but since we have that tension, there might be some of that pulling. So keep quad active, kneecap lifting up your leg. And then we're gonna keep tension on the band. You'll kick the leg forward and you'll slide it back. I feel like this side always gets a little more tired. The second side gets tired faster. And remember, you find the range, even if it's 1 inch forward, 1 inch back, you find the range that you can go without feeling like you're kind of wobbling around, right? Even our upper body needs to be super stable here. Sometimes the shoulders want to compensate for movement that the hip wants to do. So everything's staying square and stable. Okay, I'm feeling the burn. 1 more forward, 1 more back. And relax. Whew. Rub out the hip. Very nice. Keeping the band where it is. We're going to get into our core a little bit more for some planks. Give our glutes a little break because we're going to get right back into them in a moment. So, coming into a plank, I prefer this one on your hands just so you have the space under you. You'll see why in a moment. But if that is really not great for your wrists, feel free to drop to your forearms. You also could maybe have your hands on the wall or on a tabletop or a chair or something to maybe make it a little less intense of an angle. But the band is still around my ankles. And I'm bringing my hands forward a little more under my shoulders. Strong through the shoulders, strong through the core before I even go into the plank. Reach one leg out, both legs out. Now we're holding the plank here. As you exhale, I want you to keep your foot flexed as you pull one knee forward and then back, and we'll alternate knee to knee. So we're feeling that tension of pulling without anything changing through the torso. Ooh, and you know, this should actually be around the arches. It kind of naturally slid there. Sorry about that. But yes, slide those around the arches. Let's do 1 more each side. And rest it down. Give a little child's pose for a moment. We're gonna do 1 more there. And it's very reminiscent of what we were just doing laying on our stomach. We want to think of all the same things. So it's still on the arches of my feet and lengthening back out. So we were lying on our stomach. We lifted 1 leg up and then it tapped out to the side, up and in. And we're going to continue. Up, tap, up and in. Up, tap, up and in. Last one. Up, tap, up and in. Relax. Good. That's a hard one to kind of talk through as I go. But you really want to make sure your hips aren't wobbling there. If you decide you want to really get into it and do another set, go for it. We're going to do 1 more variation here, standing. So bring the band with you, right back into the glutes. Take it around the ankles. All right, you can be on or off your mat for this one. We're gonna sit low into a squat. Make sure it's weight in the heels, hips going back, core staying strong. You choose the range of your squat here. We're gonna take 2 steps to the left, then 2 steps back to the right. Step out, in, in. And we go right back where we were. Arms can be wherever is comfortable for you. Make sure as you step out, I think of my thigh leading the way rather than my foot, because this can start to happen, knee going inwards, so I really want the whole foot. Big step out. And back. And that way we feel the glutes a little bit more too. Keeping your weight shifting back, it's easy to start to slowly creep the knees forward, hips poking back. And we'll go back. Let's do 1 more each direction for the heck of it. All right. Let's find center, get a little lower, and just tiny press up. Up. I feel like my heels are driving down, trying to push the floor away from me. My core is on. Yes, my body's pitched forward, but I'm not arching. I'm still nice and neutral through my spine. We'll just do 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stand all the way up. Ditch that band. You're done with it. Make sure to give your legs quite a good stretch. We did a lot of leg and glute work today. Sprinkled in a little core and shoulders at the beginning there. Please feel free to email us, TOSH Pilates at intermountain, at imail.org. TOSH Pilates at imail.org. If you have any questions, and thank you for joining me today.